Welcome to the Complete Game Podcast, where we're all about baseball with Ethan Dungan, owner of Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop, Rick Finley, founder of MD&I Baseball Academy, and the creator of George Foster Baseball, the MVP himself, Reds Hall of Famer George Foster. I'm your host, Greg Dungan. Now let's talk baseball. All right, fellas, welcome to episode 7.
All right, we're here, ready
Lucky
to go.
7.
Rock and roll, it's here to stay.
Looking forward to our time today, talking about teammates and team chemistry today. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody that you can find the podcast on just about every place you would go to listen to podcasts anywhere. If you want a good list of the major ones, you can see it at the top of our website, completegamepodcast.com. But you can find it on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio and Amazon and Spotify and all those normal places. So you can also find us on YouTube. If you just search the Complete Game Podcast, you can find us on YouTube, and every episode is up there as well. So, and you can follow us on Facebook. We post the episodes on Facebook. So just search Complete Game Podcast, and we'd love to have you over at the Facebook page. So, all right.
Get on board.
Let's get started. So today we're going to start with our Name 5, and we're just going to go around, each person give one at a time this time.
Oh, my God. I'm glad.
Oh, man, I'm first. Thank you.
Yeah.
Poor George. He gets the
I got plenty. I got 25.
We should let him go.
he gets
Let
the
him
raw
go
end of the
first,
stick
man.
every time we do that.
You're not going to
Let
have
him
what
go
I have.
first.
I think next time we need to write them down in advance and put them in a hat. And then
Yes,
just draw
yes,
one by one.
That's what we should.
There you go.
That'll be
I think we do that.
That'll be episode 8 right there.
Yes.
Okay. So today we're going to name 5 things that great teammates do to help the club. And George, you can go first. 5 things.
Oh, first? Oh, this is
Yes.
pressure. I really wanted Rick to go first. Well, I have so many. The main one, I think, is support. Being able to support one another on and off the field. And especially on the field, if a guy doesn't get a hit or makes an error, pat him on the back and say, don't do it again. So say, it's okay. We'll make up for it. But being able to support your teammates, we were great with the Reds, but we didn't have to say anything. It's just the body language. So if I didn't drive in the runs, which was seldom, then Tony Perez, he knew that he was going to do it. So you trusted, that trust factor was there. But it came from knowing what the guy can do, and I label that as being support.
Cool. Rick, what you got?
Team chemistry. As far as the youth and travel baseball, select baseball end of it, team chemistry would be by leading through exercises. That's creating team chemistry. When kids come in and they know what to expect, and they get right to it, and they might have one of the kids, or there are several kids that once you set that standard, and kids know what to do, then you create that team chemistry. And I found that to work really well.
Ooh, I got another one. I can't wait till my turn again.
Man, me too. And I got you took my first one, so I had to.
You got what I need.
Yes.
Ethan, what do you got?
Alrighty, so my first one, and a lot of these other ones kind of fall underneath it, but my first one is lead by example. Because if you want your teammates to be good teammates, you have to first be a good teammate.
Yes.
And anybody can model that. You don't have to be the best player on the team to model what it means to be a good teammate. So just for every player to take that leadership opportunity upon themselves and take the responsibility of being a good teammate on themselves goes a long way.
Cool. My first one is show up prepared.
That's 2.
Have your gear in.
Show up is one and prepare. That was one of mine.
Well, you can't do it if you don't show up. That's kind of a gimmick.
That's it. Show up. But when you say show up and be prepared, it takes the bubble out. The power out of it. You say show up.
There you go.
There it is. Show up.
All right. So the idea that you got your gear in order, you got your game plan going on in your head, you've got you know what's going on, and you're not rushing around driving everybody crazy, doing something at the last minute. You are there and you're ready to go and ready to hit the field when you're supposed to.
That was good.
Okay, George, we're back to you.
Oh, back to me already?
That was fast.
I was the show up one, man. I wanted that was show up. He didn't say it right. He just said show up. Show out. Show up, show out.
There you go.
No, role, knowing your role on the ball club. And with the Reds, Sparky made sure that everybody knew their role. Of course, you had the big eight, the starting eight. They know where they're going to be, their role. But a guy who's going to pinch hit, pitch run, go in for defense, they got to know you got to know the role. But I use your word too, being prepared for your role. And when a situation comes up, a right-hander's out there and you're a left-handed batter or hitter, you being ready. So know your role on the ball club. And that, back to what Rick had said, that brings that chemistry, working as a team.
Let me ask you something. Did people know that they might end up pinch hitting prior to the game? Did they ever get any prior notice like, hey, be ready, I might use you today? Or was it just...
They knew from the past, from history, but Sparky would tell George Sugar mainly that, okay, be ready.
Yeah.
So he comes and okay, you're going to go in for defense.
Okay.
So he's giving you that warning that when you're going to come about, or someone say Bob Bailey at the time, if he gets a hit, you're going to pinch run for him. So you get your legs loose. Don't go out there and pull a muscle because you weren't loose. Get your legs loose.
Right. Okay, cool. Rick, what's your next one?
All right. So again, talking about creating team chemistry is help put up equipment. You know, if you're indoor or whatever, if your team is doing indoor, help put up equipment. One of the things I see, even in the academy, I see certain teams that the coaches are doing it and the players ready to get their stuff in and run out the door. And sometimes I have to catch them. It's like, no, this is your practice. The coaches don't do that. You do that as a team, and make them accountable. Make kids accountable, and that's how you create team chemistry. Yeah. They do it together, not the coaches doing it.
Not just the rookies, everybody.
Well,
yes.
I want to bring that up though, because a lot of times, especially in high school programs, it gets pushed on the younger kids. So, but to have those upperclassmen lead by example, it helps the program as a whole rather than just the individual players. So yeah,
it does.
Cleaning up equipment is on mine as well.
Yes.
What was your next one?
My next one, now that it is my turn.
Okay.
I didn't add one.
Your dad is on your side.
Let's see. My number three on my list, but my second one here is control your emotions.
Oh.
Talk about things that great teammates do to help the club.
I second that emotion.
There you go.
But to come in the duck, everybody, baseball is a game of failure. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time. But to come in there and throw your stuff and, make a big fuss all over, one strikeout, I mean, that ruins the chemistry right there. And it just sucks all the momentum out of the game. It sucks the momentum out of the practice. And it's really kind of selfish because it just draws the attention to you rather than the team. So
and give power to the other team because they know that you're upset,
that they're in your head. So that's a huge one for me, is controlling your emotions.
That's an excellent point. And on the backside of that, picking up your teammates when things don't go well.
Yes.
So the idea that somebody comes in there, you can tell they're frustrated, something didn't go well.
Right.
And, maybe they made a bonehead move and running the bases, or they really wanted to get a hit. They struck out, or whatever they did. You got a pitcher who's getting shelled and he's in between innings and, things just aren't going well. Rather than just let them stew, go over there and pick them up, go over there and see if you've seen something that would help them. I've seen, I saw that this happened. You might try this differently next time, or, hey man, I know how it feels. I've been there with you. You'll get it next time. No big deal. Pick your teammates up, be their support. Yes. That makes a big difference.
But I like what you said about body language. When your first one is, even if, maybe you are 0 for that day, but don't be, head down, kind of slumping around in the field.
Dirt.
Yeah. I mean, it's your responsibility to bring your all, and body language is part of emotions.
Very good.
I second that.
Okay, George.
This one, when you talk about picking up your teammate, with Blyleven, he, of course, pitched for Minnesota. He's a Hall of Famer, and pitched some for the Pirates, boo. And so he had given up a home run his first first game. So the pitching coach came out there and blind everyone thinking he's going to say something encouraging. And this is the way the pitching coach talked to me. He said, "Don't worry about it. This is not going to be the last home run you're going to give up." So that was encouraging. I'm not going to go through my career not giving up a home run. But going with the guy, forget his, anyway, I go with communication is the word. And you want to be able to communicate out on the field, especially on the field, and especially in the outfield, because you don't want to collide and someone get hurt. But you got to make sure you communicate, because the center fielder or the shortstop, usually center fielder, shortstop, and catcher, they're in control out there. And I leave it to Geronimo. If any ball he can catch, let him catch. And whoever's playing center field at the time, they're in charge. But I see a lot of guys, a guy who's played center playing left or right, and they forget what position they're in. So you have that collision. But I had only one time Geronimo, we almost collided. But since I could speak Spanish, I told him a piece of my mind. I let him know. But I was going to use it. Jim Palmer, when I talk about home runs, this guy never did give up a grand slam. Because even if, the guy who's bases loaded and a power hitter's up, he may walk that guy to get somebody else who's not going to hit a grand slam. So he's proud of the fact that he hadn't given up a grand slam in his career. But communication is the word.
And he was tough in that 77 All-Star.
Oh, why you had to bring that up? I shouldn't even mention that.
Well, but the other thing,
not just, the 78. You didn't see the 78.
I haven't seen 78
Yeah, good.
yet. 77. The other interesting thing from there, you were talking about communication in the outfield. There was one play I watched, because I just watched it last night. I saw it where you were out there and Parker, and he comes over and he caught the ball, like reached up over your head,
right,
and caught the ball. You were like, okay,
showing me up.
But he was just so darn big. He was just reaching to the sky to catch that fly ball. It was kind of funny.
I tied his shoes later on.
I cannot imagine what it would have been like to collide with a man that big. That would have been nice.
I may not be here today.
Rick, what you got?
My last one is respect the coaches. And that's
umpires.
huge. Yeah, and umpires.
Absolutely.
That's huge right there. We're in a era where that it's me. And sometimes when coaches are trying to develop and try to teach a player something, I've seen it again in the academy. I've seen a kid just walk away from a coach. And I think we mentioned this about a couple episodes before, and I mentioned the kid's name. I said, "Man, you don't do that, man. Would you do that to your parents? If they tell you to do something, just walk away. Say you don't do that to your coaches."
Right.
And respect your coaches. That goes a long way.
Well, coaches are part of the ball club too. It's more
go.
than just the kids out there. So team chemistry, it definitely involves the coaches. Can't overlook that.
But even if you disagree what the coach has to say, don't show them up.
Don't show them up.
And I mean, that's not good. We talk about chemistry. It's not good for the chemistry of the team. And now you downgraded or the coach, and back to not respecting the coach, what he has to say. Even though it's not what you agree with, but just walk away and deal with it. But body language and how you deal with the situation. The other guys say, "Oh, he doesn't respect the coach," and they're letting him get away with it.
It trickles down there.
Yeah.
Well, it'll trickle down to then parents start to voice their opinions about stuff.
Right.
So that's
a good example for me is that the kid was disrespectful. Well, the other part we didn't add is disrespecting the parent.
Yes.
And so the kid said something to the parent. I said, "Okay, until you apologize, you're out of the game." And he looked at me like, "Yeah, I'm going to be out of the game. Yeah, you're out of the game. Here's a seat, space right here on the bench." But I didn't like the fact that his parent, took the time to bring him to the game and give that support. Yes. But yet he's going to yell at. If it's the dad, maybe the dad would get him later on, but it was the mom. So I said, "No, we don't do that around here."
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's important.
My turn. Let's see. Mine is be humble and don't be above correction. You know, even
I like that one.
even if you are the best player on the team, you know, don't be so high and mighty that you're not going to take instruction or constructive criticism from anybody else, because you can always be better. And, you know, maybe one of the kids whose batting average isn't as high as yours or who doesn't throw as hard, maybe he notices something, and don't be unwilling to take that advice.
Along the lines of respecting your coaches and your umpires and your parents. One of the things that I've learned in the years that we've been working in marketing with companies is that there's a difference between a company where the boss works, where it says that someone works for them versus someone works with them. Like here, my wife and I own a child care center here in the building, and we love our people. They're amazing people. They work with us, not for us.
Right.
Okay,
that.
they have a job to do that is very specific, and they do it amazingly well. And I am very thankful for them to do that job. Leslie and I have a different job. We just have different responsibilities. We're responsible for different stuff, but yet we're all on the same team. Your coach has his own responsibilities. The umpire has his own responsibilities. Your parents have their own responsibilities. And just because you don't see eye to eye doesn't mean that you are equal in all of your responsibility, and you need to respect that and appreciate
Be great.
that.
Be grateful.
Because they got, you know, you wouldn't necessarily do so well in their shoes if you had to swap places. So, you know, it's one of those things where they appreciate you, you appreciate them. It tends to go around pretty well. My next one is, it's an old Elvis thing. It's TCB. It's take care of business.
Taking care of business.
Off the field.
Oh,
so
okay.
take care of
Yes.
your business off the field. That's a lot of different things. One, that's your workout.
Yeah.
That's your preparation. That's, you know, if you're going to go over your, you know, maybe study some hitters, maybe go over scouting report. Maybe it's your personal practice every day. It's the skills you're working on. It's going to your private teacher. It's, you know, getting your swings in, throwing your bullpens, doing your things. Get your stuff done off the field, because the team depends on you having done that when you show up. They need the benefit that you gained from doing all that personal workout stuff on the field. And so they need you to do that. The other thing is just, you know, also just your behavior and the things that you do. You know, we've talked about there are guys in the bigs who had a ton of talent and just couldn't get it together with their decision-making off the field.
Right.
And that's tragic when that happens. One of your responsibilities to your teammates is to handle yourself and take care of business off the field. Don't be bringing undue publicity to the team. Don't be bringing undue, struggle. When you're a youth player, that could be, you know, don't bring, if your girlfriend is mouthy, don't bring her to don't bring her to the game. I'm just teasing. But
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. The biggest thing is, you know, take care of your business off the field and be ready. Don't make your team and your coach have to handle your life.
But that word behavior, I like that. That you said everything, sugarcoated it, everything, which is great. But when you talk about off the field, you read about some of these players getting in trouble in a bar or having a fight, and that's back to, you know, being in control. If somebody's heckling you and you don't, because you didn't do well that day in the game, don't carry it over to that situation. But my favorite story is, I'm with the Mets. So there's a road going toward Shea Stadium and a road going toward Long Island. So the guy to my left, he had given me the finger. And so I didn't want to give him the same gesture. So what I did, I stayed close to him, made him go to Long Island, which I knew he wanted to go towards Shea Stadium. And I said, "There's a different way to do this."
That's when I'm driving and somebody's riding my bumper, rather than brake check, I do windshield wipers. So I do turn the cleaner on so that it sprays on it.
Okay.
Yes.
And it runs through your windshield wiper fluid, but it's a lot safer than brake checking somebody.
Someone behind you to give you the bright lights, so I move over and let them get past me. Then I get behind them, give them the bright lights.
Yes.
Driving tips with George Foster.
Yes. Be careful.
Oh, goodness. All right, George, what else is on your list?
I have, which is it starts with Charlie hustle. Being hustle when you're on the field. It doesn't take any talent to hustle. I had guys. I said, you got to hustle out there. They're walking out there. And the unfortunate thing, I only had 9 guys, and we only would have 8 if I had taken them out of the game. But I tell them, one of my pet peeves, being on time and hustle. And like I said, it doesn't take any talent to hustle. You want to hustle on and off the field. It not only give that energy to your team, but now the fans saying this guy is hustling. And before I knew that he was on a PED, Sammy Sosa was always hustling. But he set a good example. And I just tell kids, are your legs okay? If you're not okay, I'll take you out of the game. No, I'm okay. Okay, let's run out there. And so hustle is a word that really stands out. And Pete Rose bring that to mind. He made that popular, hustling on a walk. Here's a guy running the first on a walk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the 76 All-Star game, he gets on first base on a single, and the next hit, he's at home. Like he never even thought about stopping.
No.
He was second, third, and dove into home, and made it safe, scored the first run. So, that was pretty cool. What you got, Rick?
Cleaning up dugouts, man, after a game.
Good.
Making sure that everybody, put your water bottles, throw them away, trash, seeds, which you really can't on turf fields anymore. But just cleaning up, man, and just
Back to that
a
word
level of
respect.
Right.
Well, it's respecting yourself, respect your own space.
And what it does
Aretha
is it
Franklin
sets an
said it.
example for the team. So people like, oh man, thank you for cleaning up the dugout. There's been times where our guys have swept out the dugouts, pushed the dirt out and things like that for the next team to come in. So that's just a respect part.
My last one here is take responsibility for your mistakes. That was another pet peeve of mine is guys strike out and then they come in the dugout complaining, blame it on something else. And I'm like, you're the one that missed the pitch, or you're the one that watched it, Don't blame the umpire. Don't blame the pitcher. Just take responsibility for it and move on. If you boot a ball in the infield, don't blame it on the dirt. Just own it and move on. It's not that hard. But because when you're not willing to do that, it just drags it, and then now it's everybody's error. Now it's everybody's strikeout, and that's harmful to team chemistry.
We don't want to hear it.
Yes.
The last one I had was if you're going to correct a teammate, do it one-on-one and do it quietly.
Yeah.
Do it firmly.
Are you been reading my notes?
I'm just saying, mean business. Don't be afraid of the confrontation. But if you got to call somebody aside and say, "Hey, man, that wasn't cool,"
Right.
Don't do it in front of everybody, because now if you call them out in front of everybody, now they got to save face and look tough.
Right.
If you call them up, if you go one-on-one, they don't have to save face with anybody because it's just the two of you, and they can easily go
eliminate that embarrassment.
Yeah, they can just say, "All right, man, sorry about that." No big deal. And then everything's cool. But have some class and don't do that in front of everybody.
Yeah, I like that because you don't have to show him up. Show that you're the boss, or you're the one who's going to correct everybody. But I've had Bobby Bonds would say to me, you're better than that. Right away, I knew that something I'm not doing correctly. If I'm not hustling, I should have taken a better at bat. But right there, it's so succinct. It's precise. Everything's right there. It's not saying, well, you're not really helping the team today.
Yeah.
You just said, we don't do that. Or you're better than that, so to speak.
So you finished the season last year, exhausted from all the travel and the tournaments, and you tossed your gear in a bag where it's been sitting all winter. Now you're ready for another year, but your favorite glove that fits just right is an error waiting to happen. The leather's dry, the laces are brittle, and this year you're on a new team with new colors, and it sure would be cool if it matched. Well, wouldn't it be great if you had a glove guy who could help you out with that? You do. His name is Ethan, and he owns Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop in Fairfield, Ohio. Just contact him at glovehound.com and upload pictures of your glove. He'll give you a call back to talk it over, and then you can send it in for a repair, relace, recondition, whatever you need. If you're in the area, you can even just stop by the shop. That way you don't have to bother with shipping, and a lot of times he can even fix it while you wait. Rawlings, Wilson, Mizuno, All-Star, Nakona, he's seen them all, and he's helped players at all levels, from beginners to pros. Last year, he worked on a glove that Jose Trevino used in the World Series, and he can help you too. You can find Glovehound on Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at glovehound.com. You're only going to get busier, so reach out today and give your glove the love it deserves at Glovehound. All right, fellas, we're going to move on to the main thing, and we're going to talk about mainly how to build this chemistry and what to do with it. You guys have had, especially George, you and Rick have had the opportunity to be on some championship teams at differing levels, as coaches, as players. You've had a lot of different experience on and off the field with this kind of stuff, and so curious as to how you learned to do that. Like, who taught you to be a great teammate?
It started with really Willie Mays talking to. It's a situation of Willie Mays taught Bobby Bonds, and Bobby Bonds, I was his responsibility. So whoever else came would be my responsibility. So Bobby let me know what we do out here, and right away to be in line. So you don't have to have a coach telling you what to do. So through Bobby Bonds, I learned a lot about the game and how to carry yourself. Like Ethan was saying earlier, how to carry yourself out there. And if you strike out, don't throw the bat, throw the helmet. Things like that. And no cursing or swearing, things as such. So you letting you know right away what you need to do. Don't miss curfew. You got to be curfew, and making sure that when you go out for spring training, go out to conditioning, actually put your work in and not just go out there and go through the motion, because you're representing the team. You got to be ready for that. So Bobby Bonds stands out in my mind.
You were talking about no cursing and swearing. This is interesting. This sort of the idea that that's proper behavior has kind of gone out the window in society today.
It's more acceptable,
which drives me crazy. I always taught Ethan that there are 3 reasons why people curse and swear. They're either ignorant, they don't know a better word to use, they're
lazy.
They're lazy. They just don't bother to choose a better word, or they're out of control and they're so gone that another word can't pop into their head. And so don't ever be ignorant, lazy, or out of control. Express yourself clearly and have some class.
Well, and that goes for players and coaches, because those words hold weight, and when they're uttered on a baseball field, it draws attention, and that can really suck the life out of the game and take a lot of the fun out of it.
Well, I know for me, when a coach or anyone use profanity towards me, it's like I'm turned off. I don't hear what you're saying. I'm walking away.
Yes.
There's a better way to explain a situation than using profanity.
Yeah.
And with kids, it's the same thing. Making sure, nope, we don't say that here. You may say it someplace else, but not here.
Yeah, I think there's a real benefit to bringing that back as being something that is classy, and mature and manly.
Sure.
For me, who taught me to be a great teammate, it's a combination of a lot of people, from friends to my neighborhood and family. Of course, family, because you're competing all the time.
Yeah.
So,
when you have 100 brothers and sisters,
being the youngest out of
you're the
a lot of
smallest
us,
one.
double digits. Being the youngest out of double digits, you learn how to be a great teammate. You know how to compete and everything. But normally, it was probably had good coaches, good teammates, neighborhood, and we always competed against, no matter the sport. It could be basketball, football, baseball.
Jacks.
Just learned how to jacks, hopscotch.
Yeah, jump rope.
Yeah, anything, man. It just taught you to compete, be a good teammate, learn how to win or lose with pride and
Marbles.
dignity.
Forgot about marbles,
Oh
man.
yeah, marbles, man. Yeah, marbles. Yeah, but that's basically that for me.
Yeah, I'll have to hand it to you, Dad. I mean, it was something that was, instilled into me at an early age, and it was framed to me how to be a good employee. But that translates to the field as well. But it was show up on time, work hard, and don't complain. And if you do those four things, you really can't go wrong, and you're not going to rub anybody the wrong way. If you show up and give it your all. But really, just taking responsibility for myself as a person outside the game translates to inside the game. And I could definitely think at times that me just working hard and trying to organize my stuff, be cleanly, and go about my game a certain way rubbed off on my teammates. So just living it outside, makes it way easier to translate it to inside the game.
Well, and I in turn have to throw that to my dad, because
There you go.
that's where I learned things like respect and
Well, yeah, disrespect was not an option. So it's like, that wasn't something I had to correct,
My mom had a left.
My dad taught us early on, you don't throw your gear, you don't mouth off, that is the quickest way to get a reprimand real fast. Like he would not, I will guarantee you, he would not have hesitated to come jerk me right off of that bench and deal with me in the middle of a game. So, it was just, there was no playing around when it came to that stuff. My dad had a lot of patience and a lot of grace for, you worked hard, you tried, you didn't make it, you gave it a good effort, you failed, those kinds of things. But when it came to, no, you knew better. You could have just behaved and you didn't. There's no
There's
no
a
mercy
choice,
there.
better choice to make.
Yeah.
But like you said, I know I had said Bobby Bonds, but my mom was always there, always supportive, and she would say, never give up, no matter what transpired. But she used the phrase, I don't know if Rick remembered, don't take any wood nickels.
Oh, yeah.
Don't just take things, at face value.
Face value.
You got to, check it out. You got to do some research. And I don't know how many times I heard that expression, but I know before our Reds game starts, when she's at the game, we know that she has her megaphones. She's telling the pitchers, strike them out, pop them up. So I said, well, it's like playing the national anthem. We knowing that, okay, it's time to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's awesome. We were also raised to respect that as well. We're gonna play the national anthem. You're gonna hold you can take your hat off. You're gonna stand there and be respectful. It was important to respect the elements of the game that were classic America. And America has not always been the kindest place to everybody in every situation, but it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to find a better country on the planet. So be thankful that you're here. What about with regard to coaches early on in your playing career, like even like college? I know you played a little bit in college, played some minors, you played some things like that. Like, so what are some things maybe that you've learned about being teammates?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember I was 13. And this is how I really love coaching. And for some reason, I don't know if I aged out with my friends, but I couldn't play this summer. So the guy asked me to be an assistant coach. And from there on, that's where coaching, because we were already doing things in our neighborhood. We would have football games, and we have we'll play against each other street, man. We used to have playbooks and stuff.
Wow.
And that's how smart we were. And
precocious.
Yes. And so
look that
that's
up,
that's how we develop our players and stuff. So what was the question again? I kind of lost.
Who taught you how to be a good teammate?
Okay, so actually, one of the coaches did. He taught me how to coach, but also how to be a good teammate. Our coaches then was pretty. They were tough. They wouldn't like, youth coaches. Then, man, they make you run.
Punishment.
Man. But they were tough, but they were loving. You know what I'm saying? They got the best out of you. So
I can remember coming along and having guys who would, like you get to going up to bat and they're like, okay, look, what we need you to do is just hit the ball anywhere. Like we got a guy in scoring position. What we need is contact. We need you to hit that ball. So I'm not, I needed to go up there not thinking about what's the best thing for my stats, what's the best thing for my situation, how do I come out looking the best here? I needed to go, look, I just need to put the ball in play, this side of second base because there's a guy on third. If I can just put it somewhere over here on the right side and get him in, it doesn't matter if I'm out because there's only one out. We'll survive it, but we need to get him in.
Right.
And so a good teammate does things like bunt and sacrifice and things that the team needs him to do. And I had coaches that would teach us that and say, look, what I need from you right now is this. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. That's my job. Or it's 90 degrees and it's a Saturday and we got a double header and the other kid turned his ankle and you got to catch 2 in a row. So I need you to guzzle some water and go back out there. Okay, sure. No problem. That's just what we do.
Yeah. One of the things that always was a big deal for me that coaches could do to help was giving players responsibility. And that was the first thing you had mentioned was helping create that routine so that players have that autonomy.
Yes.
But any time that we would get to coach bases or umpire our own practices, or we were the ones throwing soft toss to each other. I mean, nobody likes bad soft toss, so you're going to get that. You're going to get that feedback immediately, and you better figure it out.
Like it's a bomb.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They playing games
Exactly. So that was always awesome, and it forces it. It puts you in the coach's shoes. It puts you in the umpire's shoes, and it humbles you and makes you realize, it is a little harder than you think. And it brings that accountability. Getting to experience that and participate in it, and definitely helps with chemistry, and that's something that the coaches give to the players. When you're told what to do all the time, it's not as fun,
right? Right,
and you don't gain the same understanding talking at you versus talking to you.
Yes,
you don't have that growth.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't. You don't develop the leadership structure within the team. That was the one thing that go back to the 77 year after when they trade Perez. Now you've changed the
leadership
way that it works.
Right.
You've changed who does what. You've changed up, and not that. And Dan Dreesen was a fine player and put up fine numbers, but he wasn't Tony Perez. And so when you take a person out of that situation, you've affected the dynamic.
Yes, for true. But that was they didn't realize the importance of a Tony Perez on the team, realizing that he was the catalyst until he was no longer there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like you say, Danny had a great year, but I haven't asked him this. I was wondering how much pressure he felt, because people say, well, now you're taking Tony Perez, but you're not really taking Tony Perez's place. You're getting a chance to play.
Right.
And he would have done, if he were there before, say like Lou Gehrig comes in, but Wally Pipp decided to get sick. But in this case, Danny came in and did a great job, and Lou Gehrig did an outstanding job. But it's one of those situations that chemistry changed, but now you had to, like you used the word dynamic, it changed in the meantime. Now who's responsible? And putting it in more, so you're in that more responsible position. Instead of batting 6th, now you're batting 5th. So you're looking at a guy who looked to driving RBIs, because Tony averaged 90 plus RBIs over 10 years. That's something.
Yeah.
That's commendable. And that's how I learned how to, along with my brother, learn how to focus on what's more important, driving in that run. But 2 outs, 2 strikes, I want to be the guy to do that.
Well, go ahead.
I wanted to just add something real quick, talking about team chemistry. And this is at the college level, okay? So a lot of people don't, and it doesn't matter what level you are on, because what happens is when you get to the college level and you don't play, guess what? it works on you mentally. Mm-hmm. You got to go through the grind of practice. You got to work out still. You got to still be a supportive teammate. So I have this young lady, her name is Joni. Give her a plug real quick. And she's a freshman in college. and she hasn't played in about 4 games or so. And so one day she sent me a video of her hitting and stuff, and asked me, "Okay, what's going on here?" And I told her. So now they're down in Florida. Currently, he's got about 8 games. So she finally gets in. Okay, she's got 2 hits now, 2 of her first college hits. And so one of the things I told her is that I think I told her mom is that I said college, and I posted. I said college athletics is hard, and it will test you mentally. If you don't play a lot as a freshman, you got to keep working, keep grinding, and be ready when your number is called. You know, and continue to be a good teammate because it will wear on you. And, you know, and then that's why people transfer and stuff.
Portal,
go to the portal and stuff. And it's a grind. So team chemistry and understanding, like George was saying, understanding your role and be ready when your number is called. That's a lot with team chemistry because it could break down and then once somebody said, "Oh, they're not playing me," and then it festers throughout the whole team
complaining.
Yes, the complaints.
Yeah, they call it being a cancer to the team.
Yes,
and
cancer
it
to
just
the
grows.
team, and it happens a lot at the high school levels and stuff because I think that what happens in select travel baseball, you have only at the younger ages you got about 11 or 12 on them, so they playing a lot. You know, even if they're not starting, they playing a lot. Everybody's got a role. Now, once you get to 14, 15 in high school, and you get to high school, and you find out what your role is.
And there's
you know,
20 guys on the team.
And there's 20-something guys that you got to fight for. So you got to find out, okay, where you fit in at and stuff. And you experience that. And you got to find your role, you know, because you don't know what the coach's philosophy is and how he does things and things. And I think that's that could get to a kid. You know,
Sure, yeah.
that can get to a kid and make them feel like, oh man, I'm not part
Saying
of
the coach who
team.
doesn't like me and
Yes,
he doesn't want to play.
Yes, but you know that. So I see both sides of it. Really do.
Well, I'll add 2 things to that. Number one, especially in a high school or a college program, well, and even the pros, it's the older guy's job to set that tone and teach the younger guys.
Exactly.
Because those freshmen don't know anything, and you can't blame them for that. You know, they're coming up. You know, the field just got bigger. You know, like there's a lot of adjustment to do. You got to have patience with that.
Yes.
But I like what you're saying about being that role player that's waiting for the opportunity, rather than, you know, thinking about, I haven't gotten my chance, or rather than, you know, being a downer. Look at it as you're still a part of the team.
Yes,
You're still wearing that jersey. You have a responsibility to have a good morale, you know, in the clubhouse, in the dugout, in the weight room.
Yes.
Because if you don't, it's gonna affect other players. So I like the idea of, even if you're not playing all the time, you're still a big part of that team.
There you go.
Well, and let's talk about another thing that affects that too. So we've talked about things that affect team chemistry, like selfishness and laziness, or not being in control of yourself, and all these kinds of things. But then there are things that are going to be out of your control too, like turnover.
Yes.
So if, you know, in your case, you were on a different team every year.
Yeah, that was hard.
Yes,
And that's hard because
That's
you come in
very
the door
hard.
and you don't know everybody. You might know 1 or 2 guys. You don't know the coach. Coach doesn't know you.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 months that you got to figure all this out and play. And, you know, and then a lot of times we're not practicing because it's hard to get a field, or it's hard to find a place, or even when the coach really means well and is working hard to try and make it happen, it's a hard thing to do in a very short period of time with a brand new crop of kids every time you turn around. So that could be a real struggle. I mean, just let's go back to the 77 Reds. You look at, okay, you guys had a lot of pitching turnover in 1 year. So, you know, you get McEnany leaves, and
Gullett was the main one that left, a starter.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then
hurt.
Eastwick, Zachary, Pat Zachary, we lost 2 starters right there.
Yeah.
So it changed the mindset. Now you said, well, we just lost 12 victories because Zachary had won 12 games.
Yeah.
So now you bring a Tom Seaver over, okay, but even if he wins 30 games, it's still, I mean, he had to win 30 games to really make up for not having a Pat Zachary. So it put more responsibility on him. And now everybody's relying on, when Tom's not pitching, what Johnny said, play for rain. If certain guys are not pitching, play for rain.
Well, and you traded out Perez, and you got a couple of pitchers for Perez. One of those being Woody Fryman,
Right.
who was in the later years of his career. So you're getting a veteran,
Right.
who may not
Right.
have the same performance on the field, but you're getting veteran in the clubhouse. So how does that offset?
Well, I was going to say, now you're bringing in someone you're not sure he has that winning attitude. And even though you're a good athlete, but do you have that winning attitude? And I just knowing that he came over. When you come over for a guy like a Perez, now there's more pressure there again. So every time he goes out there, he feels that he has to be perfect.
Right.
And so now we brought a relief pitcher over, and he wanted to put him in the closing role. So now he's having pressure that I got to do it, but he's looking at the fact that I got to do it every time. But you don't have to do it every time. But keep your team in the game.
Right. Yeah.
So, but now you start saying, how many more changes do we really want to win? You just want to go out there and compete. We know the fact of how we want to win. You're not bringing in. Are you bringing in guys that really want to win or know how to win?
Right.
And so that was a big difference.
Well,
the mindset.
That's what I love about what the Reds did this offseason is not only did they go get Gavin Lux and Jose Trevino for their skills, but those two guys played in the World Series last year. One of them won, one of them lost, but still, those are two guys that were there coming to a Reds team that hasn't been anywhere near there in a long time.
Wow.
I love the idea of going after that attitude, not just the skill set at the major league level anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. College, when you get to college, like Rick was saying, that now you got to find your role may change.
Yes.
And being prepared for that role change. And because the coaches, their job's on the line. They're focusing on winning.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
winning.
It is a business.
When you're in high school or maybe in lower than that, to me, it's to develop.
Right.
Yes.
But once you get to college, now you got to win. If you don't win, I see in basketball, Sean Miller, he's gone.
Yes, he's gone to Texas.
So,
man.
but in this case, it's all about the money. Who's going to
Yes.
pay you more money?
Right.
But it's still the fact that you got to win. If you don't win, they're gone because now the school feel, well, we're not going to be in that next round, so we won't make more money. So, but you got to understand as a college player that your role may change, being prepared for that. They recruited 8 or 9 shortstops, and they can't play them all at one time.
Yes.
That's why I love watching college baseball because it's like watching MLB playoff baseball every single game.
Yes.
It's always
Yeah.
intense and everybody brings the energy. It's so much fun to watch.
Well, and sometimes you got guys who they need to go off of the team because they're there and it's not working out for them. They're not getting what they were looking for.
I'm glad they have that. The portal now, they have that flexibility. But before you're stuck with the team, but now you'll be able to go to another ball club that somebody can utilize your services.
And in the pros, now you've got to deal with contracts and who'll sign and who won't, and who's coming and who's going, and you got that all going on. So it can be a struggle. Let me ask you this: when you're watching an opposing team, let's say you're at a tournament and you're watching another team play, you're in between games and they're coming up on your schedule, you're watching them. How can you tell whether they have great chemistry or not? What do they do that lets you know that team's got great chemistry?
Number one is, do they get loose together?
Yes.
Are they going and doing their running? They're taking the pregame situation.
Yep.
And a lot of times you see 3 or 4 guys going out there doing their run, the other ones are not, or they're just going through the motion. But I require that with my team is that everybody runs.
Yes.
And then you want to play catch, have it all organized.
Yes.
So you're seeing that they're doing everything together. That's the key word, doing it together.
I agree. I second that. And everyone's running together. The throw and catch mechanics look rhythmic and flawless. No one's dropping the ball all the time or throwing over their heads.
Right.
Little things like that. Now, the key thing, how I can tell if a team chemistry looks good is so you can't take infield no more.
Just don't have time
But that
anymore,
that used to be the telltale sign right there.
Yes.
Man. You take infield, boy, we know we gonna beat you.
Yeah.
Especially
'Cause
the
our-
outfielders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we show our arms off, man. But our catcher talks, and I talk when I did infield. I talked a lot. So we're putting fear in the other team so they know that we're about business, man. Our team chemistry, everyone's talking. And so when people run off the field, we high-fiving each other and stuff and everything. That brings the team chemistry. You're working together. You know, everybody's supporting, everyone's talking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say my dead giveaway is the chatter that's happening. And it's not just any chatter because it's not talking smack at the other team from the dugout.
Exactly.
It's talking to your guys.
Yes, you
out
coaching
there.
your guys up.
And
Positive.
the other thing is whether or not that chatter is player driven, because when you're when you're struggling and it's a long inning and the coach comes over and says, "Come on, guys, get." That's just like that just ruins it because it's not it's artificial at that point. He's like trying to do it for you. It's not authentic. I'll put it that way.
No.
But when you got that constant chatter going and it's always positive, that right there and that's intimidating. Because from the they're just talking nonstop and it's like it gets in your head and it's
some teams don't like that.
No, they sure don't.
Right. But that's always and that's something that you can hear from the time you enter the ballpark. You can hear a team that is cohesive and just constantly uplifting each other nonstop all game long.
But for me as a coach, I in the beginning I didn't think about it, but later on I realized that it's something that it was a psychological move. When I'm saying something to my player, it's also going towards the other team. And I'm telling my batter or hitter, I said, "Oh, come on now, get a hit. This guy's ready now. He's slowing down. So now the guy hears that, and he's going to try to throw harder.
Yes.
Or come on now, you can steal a base. This guy doesn't have a good arm. He can't. He had to hit a cutoff man to throw to second base.
Yes.
So things like that to get into their head.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. This is a big one. So can you fix poor team chemistry? And if so, how do you do it?
Trade them. When I went from the Reds to the Mets, I had I assumed that everybody wanted to get to the top, but then they didn't want to work to get there. So now the general manager comes in and said, "Well, we got to get rid of some of these guys. We want to get a winning attitude." And I'm saying, why can't we train these guys? But they felt that it's going to take longer to train these guys than to go out and trade for somebody who's experienced it before.
Yes.
And so at times they may jump ship and say, well, we'd rather go and get someone, trade for somebody than to try to teach this guy how to do it. But most of those guys been there for a while. They're just there like a journeyman. It's like, okay, the game's over. What we're going to do after the game. So when there's a guy on your team that has a lot of talent and ability, yes, you want to take time with that person. Say like a Billy Hamilton, he may not swing the bat well, but teach him how to bunt.
Yes.
He had good speed, so work with that guy. You don't want to just get rid of that guy because it's going to be a challenge to be able to get a guy like that in return. Yeah. And that's what I saw when I was coaching teams, seeing what value that guy brings to the ball club. If he good running speed, that was number one thing. But it's a challenge deciding on what players to keep that had a winning attitude, or the ones that you're going to trade away to get someone who feel that we talk about guys who played for a world championship. They know what they need to do to get themselves ready to win a championship. And other guys you get in, and they're a good player, but they haven't been in a winning atmosphere.
Well, and it's hard to act like you've been there if you haven't been there.
Right.
I agree with that. And I second what George said because he's correct. But also, too, talking about the select and travel baseball level, during tryouts, those are the things that you got to see. I see that. I pick up on it right away, man. If they if they don't run, or they lazy about throwing and things
especially
like
catchers.
that. Especially catchers. Yeah. Oh, man.
Not running, but I mean, taking charge.
Yes, taking charge, talking. I was talking to a guy yesterday. There was in the facility. Him and his son plays for Dakota East, and we were just talking about they have new coaching staff, and they lost, but he was telling me certain things that was going on. So I know one of the assistant coaches on the team, he wasn't there. And he said, well, if he was there, man, they wouldn't have been doing none of that. That guy would have been talking. And so I asked him, I said, does your catcher talk? Not really. He said a lot of pass balls, wasn't doing, going well. But I think even before you fix the poor team chemistry, you have to let the players know what your philosophy is.
Set the expectation.
You got to set the expectations. Yeah. So that's what I've done a lot. Let them know, what's to be expected of them. Again, that trickles down to leading exercises. Guys that come in, they know what the foam roll, they know the stretching routines, and you see it. All my MD&I teams, they know what to do. So you set the example, and then my other team that's in there, that's 13U, they do the same thing also. So it trickle down effect. So you got to set the standard.
Yeah, I like the idea of preventing bad chemistry because at the major leagues, you don't necessarily have that opportunity because you got guys coming in and out.
Or the time.
Right. Yes, the time.
Right.
Yes, sir.
But at the youth level, you have a little bit more control over that kind of thing. But set the tone at the beginning of the year, and the most important part is you have to hold yourself to it.
Yes.
You can make all the promises that you want and have a really great philosophy, but if you don't follow up on it, it falls apart, and then the players don't respect the coaches, and
they're waiting for it.
Yes, they're waiting for it.
No,
right.
they are.
Here come
exactly.
the vultures.
Yeah, and I've seen that destroy just about every youth team I played for.
I think everybody's had that happen to them once or twice. I've had it happen to me a couple of years ago, and it's a gut punch because it never happened to me before. Really haven't. And I've been with a lot of teams in over the 20-something years I've been in travel baseball, and it happened to me for the first time. And I was like, man, oh boy, I've never had that happen to me. I had to take a month off to come back. But yeah, you got to set the expectations.
But like Ethan had said, using the word humble, I had to humble myself, going from playing on a major league level and now coaching.
Yes,
so
sir.
now the parents are trying to tell me what to do. and we were playing a doubleheader that day, and one kid, he didn't play the first game. And the parents said, why didn't my kid play? I said, we're playing 2 games. He's starting the second game. Yeah, but I didn't know that. I said, well, that's why I'm the coach. But a lot of these parents, of course, they feel that their kid is better than what he really is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've been there. I know what he can and cannot do.
Yes, talent.
Right, I know talent, and then I know if that kid is a kid I'm going to rely on in a certain situation.
Yeah.
And so I DH'd this one kid because defensively he hadn't caught a ball yet, and he's gonna hurt the team as far as the other team scoring runs, but he may get physically hurt because can't seem like he's Ray Charles out there. He can't see the ball. So I calmly tell the parents, I said, he's playing. He's going to be a DH. But he said, but I want him to be out in the field. I said, no, you don't want him. You don't want him to be out there.
So wait a minute. So
Trust me.
So you're suggesting humility for the parents as well?
Yeah.
No way.
But I'm more so focused on myself. I had to be humble. Wow, he's contesting what George Foster's MVP 77 with the big red machine. They don't care. They're concerned about their son. So I had to. So I'm a coach and I'm learning.
Yes.
I mean, even though I played on the highest level, I'm still learning. Yeah. But the number one thing was learning about the parents. Because they're going to come at you because, when it comes to their kid, they're ready to fight.
Something I learned a long time ago, a good definition of humility. Being humble means to have the proper perspective. It means to see yourself in the proper perspective. So if if I'm the player and the coach, like let's say I'm the player and I'm playing on your team, and I'm some kid and I'm just playing, and you've like got World Series experience and everything else. Okay, I see that when it comes to baseball, okay, my experience is this big and George's experience is this big.
No, they don't see that.
And seeing that in the proper perspective keeps me from going, oh, I know everything. It puts me in the idea of, I'm fortunate to be in this situation to learn from somebody who knows what he knows.
Yeah.
You know.
But you think that, but no. But that was a good example you brought up, because the guy's coaching third on the other team, and so he did a squeeze play, and it worked. And I said, wow, why are you getting so upset? It seemed like you'd never done this before. So yeah, I've been in the World Series. The World Series, I didn't see you there. I was like, what World Series are you talking about? Which one was it? Right, which one are you talking about? So he just kept going off. I was like, okay. But now you really want to be out there. I said, you can't go out there and do it yourself and just believing that your kids will be able to go and execute the situation. But it's like, okay, one of my guys got hit right away. It's like, oh, we got to get one of their guys. But I said I had to back off. It's not the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's I had a trumpet teacher in college that when you got a little too big for your britches, he would say, he would turn to you and go, so when you played principal for the Cincinnati Ballet Orchestra, how did you do it? Right. When you studied with Alessi Vacchiano in New York, what did he tell you? Okay, that's what I thought. So let me kind of weigh in here a little bit. He was slick about that.
Yeah, the parent would come, they don't look at everything. Look how many strikeouts you had when you played. I said, well, do you have a baseball card? I don't remember seeing your baseball card.
You should just look at it and go,
that's a good one.
You should go, you know what? I've always been curious. So when Nolan Ryan pitched to you, what were you thinking? Approach?
Right.
Yeah, that's
And to ask them how many times they struck out that year.
Yes.
Well,
let me offer some perspective from this. I think that you can fix poor team chemistry, but it's a really, really big job. You got to really mean business, especially if you're talking about youth baseball, because you got a very short period of time to do this. And it comes from, let's say things are going sideways. I think if you're going to bring your team together, let's talk about just the kids first. You're going to bring your kids together. They've got to spend time with each other. They have to.
Thank you.
You cannot do this if all you do is see each other for pregame and a tournament, and then another game and another game, and then they go home.
Yeah, they got to do.
You got to spend time. That's practice. Yes, that's practice, or hanging out together, or whatever. Yes. They've got to spend time together, and preferably, this is going to sound weird, but there's a purpose behind this. Preferably when they're eating food. Okay, there's a thing that goes on when human beings eat food together that you have to put your sword down to pick up your fork. There's just a thing that works there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you share a meal with one another, if you think about it, it's a kind of a vulnerable time, because there's not much else you can do but eat food, right? So when you're eating together, it will change things. One of the things when I was in college, I joined a fraternity, and we were having a hard time bringing the fraternity together. And they said, we need to get these guys together. They all got different classes. They're all over campus. They're here and there and everywhere. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put them in groups of 5, and I'm going to make a schedule. And each week, your group has to eat at least one meal with everybody in the other group. So there's 5 guys in my group. There's 5 guys in Rick's group. And so I have to schedule 5 meals that week. Mm-hmm. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night. I don't care when. Doesn't matter when. But I'm going to take all 5 guys in his group, and I'm going to find time to eat a meal with each one of them. And we did that for a month, and the thing just went. It just came right together.
Bonding. Yeah,
it absolutely came together. It's important to spend time with each other. There is no substitute for time.
Well, I'll throw another one in there is community service.
And there you go.
That's a great, because that forces humility. When you're doing something and putting somebody else's needs above yourself, that is manufacturing humility right there.
Yes.
But I will say the flip side to that is for players who don't show up, it singles them out quick, and it starts to reveal who's really there and who's really
Committed.
not. So
Yes,
it
commitment.
can be
Yes.
positive and it builds that
Yes.
chemistry, but it can also, kind of highlight some issues. But that's another great way to do that.
The other thing is if your parents are coming apart on you and you're having a hard time keeping it together,
Yes.
give them jobs. Utilize them,
Yes.
ask them to help with things.
Right.
And then
Right.
realize they are volunteers. They don't work for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is inspire them. And so at that point in time, they're working with you, not for you.
There you go.
Okay. But give them jobs to come together, help, if you need help keeping score, you need help organizing, help making phone calls, help driving things, help
Getting
moving gear,
snacks
help
and that
getting
kind of
snacks,
stuff.
help,
Yeah.
whatever.
Hotel
But
reservations.
give them something to do. Because if you don't give them something to do, then all they have to do is to sit around and talk. And if all they have to do is sit around and talk, then they're all going to talk about the
Complain
things
about
that
you.
are bugging them.
Well, and it
Yes.
helps them to be involved more through more than just what their one player is doing or telling them.
Right.
Because if their player is having a bad game, then they're having a bad game. But if they're involved in the team and the team wins,
And
it
you know
makes them
you're
feel a
doing,
part
yeah,
of it.
and you know you're
Yes.
doing well when other kids' parents are picking up your kids.
Yes.
Yes.
And when your parent, when that is going on
Right.
and people are taking
Yeah.
care of each other, you want to get people to take care of each other.
Yes.
That's really the deal.
That
if you
is
can
true.
get them to take care of each other, that works. So giving them jobs, spending that organized time together, making that happen. We've already talked about living a good example yourself, setting that expectation and sticking to it. Be living that standard so that they can see it every day. These are things that you can do to turn that culture around and bring that chemistry to what you're doing. Celebrate. This is the big thing. Celebrate. I don't care what it is. Celebrate something. Celebrate whose birthday it is. Celebrate National Donut Day. Celebrate the fact that we got 2 hits today. Celebrate the fact that celebrate something. Somebody get a good score on their test. Somebody got their driver's license. Celebrate it. Put it out on email. Put it out on a Game Changer. Put it out on whatever it is you're using. Let everybody remind 101, whatever it is, put the stuff out there and celebrate. Put it on Facebook. Put it on wherever you're doing and celebrate with everybody. If you create a culture of celebration, then positivity becomes the norm. We deal with this with companies all the time.
Yes.
People say, I can't ever get somebody to leave positive reviews about working here. I know people like working here, but they don't go leave the reviews. The only people who leave reviews are the people who are mad, and they leave the negative ones.
Right.
And that's because people are motivated to do something when they're angry. They're not necessarily motivated to do something when they're positive, unless they're positive all the time. And then when they do something, they're already positive.
Yes,
So
I agree.
if celebration is the norm, if it's what you do every day, then when you ask somebody to leave a review, they're going to do it positively because that's the way we do things around here.
Yes.
The whole culture is that because you've created that culture of celebration. Celebration is natural to them. Otherwise, if you don't celebrate all the time, then celebration is different. It's a 180. It's hard. It's against their human nature. Human nature is to complain and be grumbly. So you have to celebrate everything all the time so that you can celebrate when you need to. That's the point.
That's a good one. And creating team chemistry and how to fix it. This is why in this era here, people go to team, because of all these things that you and Ethan, all you guys pointed out. My son stayed with one guy for 8 years, from 11U to 18U. And Mark was not only a great coach, man, we just, as a team, we did a lot of stuff together. And so the end of the year, our last tournament always was the end of July. Of course, when we did that, my wife Sonia and Ricky's birthday is the end of July. So they used to celebrate Sonia's birthday all the time when we went out and everything. We always ate together and everything. Of course, by the time he got to the 9th grade, it was just him and Ricky and I on the road because she wasn't a baseball player, and she was like, hey, it's y'all two now. I'm celebrating my birthday on a cruise or something.
Well, that's, the other thing is if you're in the off season and you want to bring those kids back, stay in touch with them. Keep celebrating the things that happened to them all year long.
Never had
Follow
turnover.
them. Follow
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
Did something go well at school? Did
Yes.
something
Right.
go well where they work? Did they get
used to go to
recognized
the
for this or that? Did they
basketball
participate?
games
Yeah.
or football games and stuff,
Absolutely.
or whatever they was participating in. Mark used to come to Ricky's games, or we used to go there to a lot of kids on our team's games, or whatever it was, man. And that's probably why we didn't have the kind of turnover back then that most teams have now, because of chasing whatever it is that they chasing, man.
I think that when you first get a team together, create a group text message where you can celebrate all the time, or a group email, or even a Facebook group. You can create a private Facebook group on Facebook if you want to, if that's where all your people are. And just, the world doesn't need to know. The world doesn't necessarily care, but your community cares and your people care. And so think about this: kid gets his driver's license, and and when he shows up at the game, everybody else's parents and everybody's going, "Hey, congratulations! Oh, there you go, better stay off the road."
Right.
Whatever. And they're giving them the business, but they're doing. Everybody's doing it.
Acknowledging,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody's doing it. Hey, good job, good job, good job. Some kid gets his Eagle Scout or gets his whatever. Good job, good job, good job. That kind of thing. That kind of thing builds that culture of celebration, and it makes it go forward, and it will make those kids want to come back and play with you again.
Yes.
It will actually make those kids double think a better opportunity.
There
Statistically.
you go.
Sure.
I've had people who've worked in my company who work with us here at our company, who other people will have offered them more money, have offered them different situations, and they say, nope, I'm going to stay here because there's no way you're ever going to love me like these people love me.
Priceless.
And
Priceless.
that's important. You have to care for your people. Ethan is more than my podcast partner. He's my son. And like every baseball parent, my first priority was his development as a player. Every year, we'd start out with a new coach and a new team, making new promises, only to end up playing the same old tournaments with little to no practice in between. You know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm so thankful that we found MD&I Academy. I first met Coach Rick over a decade ago when Ethan was just a kid, and I'll never forget the relief I felt watching his first lesson. I knew right then that no matter what team he played for, my son would have amazing, consistent instruction from someone who cared. Rick has trained baseball and softball players at the select, travel, and even college levels, so I knew that Ethan could continue his excellence through training approach for his whole baseball career. He learned hitting, pitching, catching, fielding, and more all in one place. Most of all, he learned to love the greatest game in the world and how to play it with character and integrity. MD&I is a first-class facility with plenty of tunnels for hitting and pitching instruction that open up into large areas for teaching fielding, base running, speed, and agility. They even have a weight room for strength training. So if you're wearing yourself out running all over town to multiple teachers, or worse, you're counting on that new select coach to actually develop your child, you need to check out MD&I Academy today. Go to mdaiacademy.com and contact Coach Rick to learn how you can get all the baseball instruction you need from someone who cares about your favorite player as much as you do at MD&I Academy. All right, guys, we're going to wind up here with a little segment, a new segment called Who's the Hero? And I went online and I looked up.
You looked me up again?
No, I didn't look you up this time. Okay, I looked up who the greatest teammates of all time were. And BleacherReport.com did an article of the 15 greatest teammates in MLB history. And so I'm going to give you very quickly I'm start at 15. I'm going to give you the first 10. And then I'm going to read the descriptions of the last 5. We'll see if you can guess who they are. So starting at number 15, according to Bleacher Report, was Phil Rizzuto. Phil Rizzuto was, it says the man known as Scooter was always known as a phenomenal teammate. Yankee shortstop.
Yeah.
Goes on about how Yogi Berra says Phil was a gem, one of the greatest people I've ever knew, a dear friend and a great teammate. He was a heck of a player too. When I first came to the Yankees, he was like a big, actually small brother to me.
Big, small.
He has meant an awful lot to baseball and the Yankees. Left us a lot of wonderful memories. Number 14, Johnny
Really?
Johnny Gomes, yeah.
I've heard very good things about Johnny Gomes.
Boy, he played with a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay.
James Shields says, I rank him number one. He's always in the clubhouse, always first online to give a high five. There's just an excitement he brings, and it's very contagious, and he's always has everyone's back. Number 3, Maglio Ordonez.
All right.
Maglio Ordonez, one of the quotes here was, Brendan Bosch says, since I've been with the Tigers, Maglio has always been an amazing teammate of mine, helped me out a lot as a young player, and what he's done for the Tigers organization cannot be understated. Number 12, Darren Dalton.
Okay.
Through his 14-year career
Phillies.
with the Phillies,
Right.
catcher Darren Dalton was a catalyst, being described as one of the great clubhouse leaders in franchise history. Number 11, Jason Varitek.
Yeah.
Boston.
Through his 15 years with Boston, he was described as a leader by example and as a great teammate. He became only the third captain in team history in 2005 and became well known for his tireless work ethic. Number 10, Kirby Puckett.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
They say the true measure of a man lies in how others view him. In this regard, Minnesota Twins center fielder Kirby Puckett was held in high esteem both as a man and as a teammate, said Tony La Russa.
I agree with that. He's a great guy, great player.
Triton College in Chicago. That's where he went to school at.
The
Chi-Town.
Where was the fun one? The fun one, he said something about
Throwing me out at third.
he said when all you this is actually, Tony La Russa said this. He said when all you have is hardware on the mantle and you've got all the postseason checks and you've got a World Series ring and you've got all that stuff. For every player, I think ultimately when you look in the mirror at the end of your career, you ask yourself, was I a good teammate? Kirby Puckett was the ultimate. That's what everybody said about Kirby. I told my guys today at the meeting, rather than mourn Kirby's passing, this was after Kirby passed, he said, I want everybody to shake hands with the guy next to him and ask themselves if they're a good teammate. So that was...
that's powerful.
It says, the clubhouse was alive when he walked in. This is Gary Gaetti. Said, the clubhouse was alive when he walked in. I shouldn't say walk in because he was there before everybody else. It was just amazing. That game 6 of the 91 World Series, every day he would put the whole team on his back. Hop on, boys, was his favorite line. Hop on, Puck will take care of you. That's what he used to tell them. So, all right, number 9, Larry Walker.
Colorado Rockies.
Former right fielder, is widely
And
known as one
Montreal,
of the
yes.
greatest Canadian baseball players ever, but he is also remembered as a great teammate. Frank Crosetti, number 8. During a career that spanned 37 seasons of service to the New York Yankees, one team,
Yeah.
37 seasons. Frank Crosetti
Must have been a scout, too.
collected 17 World Series rings.
No Rolex watches? They were getting Rolex watches.
I don't know. It says 8 as a player and 9 more as a coach.
Oh, okay.
Crosetti played shortstop for the Yankees from 32 to 48. And while he was never regarded as a great hitter, he had a .245 career average. He was highly regarded for his defensive skills.
Got hit by a lot of pitches too.
Yes, he did. Number 7, Sean Casey.
Yeah. The mayor.
Longtime Cincinnati Reds first baseman Sean Casey earned the nickname the Mayor primarily because of his penchant for talking to the opposing hitters when they reached first base. Number 6, Trevor Hoffman.
All right.
Trevor Hoffman will go down in history as one of the greatest closers in the history of baseball and the first to reach 600 saves. However, for teammates and coaches, it will be the legacy as a teammate that will be remembered more fondly.
He's an ex-Red.
Former manager Bruce
Shortstop.
Bochy spoke glowingly of having Hoffman on his team. What's even more impressive is the person he was, Bochy said. I consider myself fortunate to have had Trevor as my close friend all those years in San Diego. He is the best teammate I've ever seen. He really looked after his teammates.
Like not a lot of Hall of Fame guys or guys who felt that was the leader of a team, but you find that guys who are there and not really being known, and which is great to hear because in the beginning, like, okay, Ordonez, yeah, I know the name, but he wasn't really. He was a good player, but he wasn't the say Hall of Famer or All-Star many years.
Okay, so here's the top 5. I'm gonna read the description. You try and tell me who this is. Okay.
Do I have to ring a bell? Bing.
So he played shortstop, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Derek Jeter.
Barry
And
Larkin.
in January of this year, the praise that came pouring forth from his teammates opposing players, that was whatever year this was written, spoke to his character and his placement on the list as a great teammate. 19-year career with one team. Larkin
Larkin
is the guy.
Oh, you cheated. You saw it. I'm looking at the monitor.
You said Jeter, I said Larkin, so.
Okay.
And it says selfless, giving, great leader, outstanding individual. All were phrases used to describe Barry Larkin, and all served to make him one of the greatest teammates in baseball history. All right, number 4, Hall of Famer. He was a slugger. Let's see, I'm trying not to give it away when I read this. So
slugger.
It's going to be the machine.
No, it's a power hitter.
Teammates, opposing players.
Tony Perez.
No. If I give you his nickname, you'll know him. So I have to get away from that.
The machine.
Team and date.
I'm working on it. Throughout a career that spanned 22 seasons, he was one of baseball's most feared hitters, yet one of the most beloved.
Dave Parker.
Unassuming person.
Oh, that's right. He is
Was the first to reach out to rookies and help them despite his lofty status. No less than Hall of Fame player Rod Carew, his teammate, for 8 seasons, summed up his legacy with a few fitting words.
It's not Jim Rice, is it?
No.
Herman Killebrew.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was
There
going to
you go.
say. Oh, good job.
Rod Carew
that's
said,
right.
"This is a sad day for all of baseball,
Yeah,
and even
Herman
harder for those of
Killebrew.
us who were fortunate enough to be a friend of Harmon's. Harmon Killebrew was a gem. I can never thank him enough for all I learned from him. He was a consummate professional who treated everyone, from the brashest of rookies to the groundskeepers to the ushers in the stadium, with the utmost respect. I would not be the person I am today if it weren't for Harmon Killebrew. He was a Hall of Famer in every sense of the word."
Yeah, when she
His
said
career started in the late 50s, middle 50s to early 70, 70?
I don't know.
71? Okay.
I don't have those numbers in front of me.
He played from 54 to 75.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so this guy had a fabulous career, became the 8th man in MLB history to hit 600 home runs. But it's the overwhelming admiration and respect of others that earns his placement on this list. The Cleveland Plain Dealer conducted a fan poll in
Jim Thome.
2000.
Jim Thome. Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 to 1.
Yes.
Yes, it was Jim Thome.
He's probably the most forgotten name in that
Yeah.
600
Yes,
home
he
run
is.
club.
It's forgotten
He
because
is.
they don't pronounce his name right.
They split them up to different pronunciations.
Sports Illustrated conducted a poll of MLB players in 2007, with Thome named by the majority of players polled as the second friendliest guy in baseball behind Sean Casey.
Will Clark.
Thome has been the recipient of the Roberto Clemente Award for his charitable contributions outside baseball, the Lou Gehrig Memorial Award for his character and integrity, and the Marvin Miller Man of the Year Award. So he has some impressive credentials there.
Yes.
We're neck and neck.
All right, number 2. The Brooklyn Dodgers had this guy. And he said when this man met Jackie Robinson for the first
Gil
time,
Hodges.
Duke Snyder.
he shook his hand. It
Pee-wee
was the
Reese.
first-
Shortstop.
Pee Wee Reese.
Pee-wee Reese.
I said the full name. He knows that part of it.
It was the first time Reese had ever shaken the hand of a black man. Reese was steadfast in his support of Robinson as he broke baseball's color barrier in 1947, steadfastly supporting him throughout that first season and for the rest of his career. The mark of a great teammate is one who puts the interests of the team above personal gain or belief. The example of Reese's support of Robinson and their friendship is a shining example of a great teammate.
Yes.
Level swing. Let it travel. Wait for your pitch. Be aggressive out there. It's no wonder young players get confused at the plate. What if your son or daughter could learn not only how to hit the ball, but also where to hit it, when to hit it there, and why? George Foster has played baseball at the very highest levels. He was the National League MVP when he hit 52 home runs and 149 RBIs in a single season. He led the major leagues in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times. He was a 5-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger, and he helped the Reds win back-to-back World Series. During his 15-year career, George developed a unique approach to hitting that made him one of the greatest hitters of all time, and now your favorite player can learn it too. That's right, baseball legend George Foster is currently accepting new students. Learn the psychology of hitting, situational hitting, hitting for power, bunting, and more. Every team needs players who can hit, and George explains the game in a way that's easy to understand and exciting to learn. So check out GeorgeFosterBaseball.com to learn how you can apply for private lessons with a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Spots are limited, and the roster will fill up fast, so don't wait. Apply at GeorgeFosterBaseball.com. All right, fellas, here we go. Number 1, greatest teammate of all time, according to Bleacher Report.
Willie Stargell.
No. For all of the
Pete Rose.
accolades this person received during his career and his life, that of great teammate was the one that he most cherished.
Ted Williams.
On a special day honoring him at the stadium of the team where he played, a silver trophy with all of his teammates' signatures was given to him, but it was the poem that they had hired the local newspaper writer to write, John Kieran, that embodied who he really was. We've been to wars together. We took our foes as they came, and always you were the leader, and you ever
Mickey
played
Mantle.
the game. Idol of cheering millions, records are yours by
Come on, Ethan.
sheaves. Iron of frame, they hailed you, decked you with laurel leaves.
Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig.
There you go.
Iron.
The iron.
There you
That's
go.
what
There you
Gehrig
go. But higher than that, we hold you, we who have known you best, knowing the way you came through every human test. This be a silent token of lasting friendship's gleam, and all we've left unspoken, your pals on the Yankees team.
Yes. We're not keeping score, but I got 3.
So yeah, those
I
are
like
some
this.
of our.
This is
yeah,
good.
same here.
Those are some of our,
Yeah, same here.
our best teammates of all time. So we'll play Who's the Hero some more. That's,
Yes,
kind of a
that's
fun,
cool.
Yeah.
kind of a fun
I
game.
like
Because I had Lee May. Lee May is the guy to light up a clubhouse, and this guy should have been a comedian because he never said the same joke twice. I said, this guy, we should have taped what he had to say. I mean, that'd been great material. But he was it was my first roommate when I came to the Reds, and it took me a while after therapy to get past it. But that guy Lee May, I just love to sit around in the corner because if he sees you, he can pick you out.
Well, I thought it was funny. One of the other things I watched last week and I shared with Leslie was you guys did a question answer thing with Marty Brenneman at the 40th reunion, so 10 years ago. You guys were all on a stage, we're all lined up across the stage, sitting on these sort of benches, and they had the pitchers, and all you guys were there, and Marty was kind of
remember
wandering
that.
around asking
Yes.
questions, and they have that on YouTube. You
Yes,
can
I've
see it.
seen that.
And Pete's up there just saying
yeah.
whatever pops into his
Right.
head. That's just the way Pete is. But everybody was trying to get Tony Perez to finally admit that it was him who was stirring up stuff all those years.
Yeah, he's the instigator. I know speak English. I know do that.
And he'd say, Marty said he would go to one guy and say, "Oh, you ought to hear what he was saying about you."
That's what he
You ought to
does.
hear what he was
I
saying
learned
about
from
you."
Tony. I said, Joe, you know what Johnny said about you?
My favorite of the whole thing, though, the last guy to talk is this guy in the whole thing. And they ask you about how Sparky asked Pete to move to third base, and you said, "Well, it wasn't Sparky's move; it was my move." I got to tell you, pretty much the whole thing was George Foster.
Yeah, it was.
And
It was like in
It was so
cowboy
fun.
movie, a Western movie, saying, I give you the sundown to get out of left field.
it was really funny. And Pat Zachary, I think, has one of the coolest voices of anybody.
A deep voice.
But anyway, yeah, so lots of fun with the teammates, and hopefully we've shared some things that you've enjoyed today, hearing about teammates and some things that these guys have been through. And if you've liked what you've heard, come back next week. We're going to talk about some more stuff. There's a new episode that hits every Wednesday, and if you haven't picked up the first 3 episodes, Well, it's 3 at this point. We're recording 7 today. 3 are out, 4 come out. Another one comes out
Showing
this
the
week.
cards.
So
Yes.
again, remember we're recording ahead of time. So, but if you haven't picked up all the past episodes, go to wherever you like podcasts or go to our website and take in the other ones and see what's out there. These guys have had some great things to share, and it's been a real privilege to do several shows with them. And I look forward to doing this for a long time. So
Don't miss out.
all right.
Share. Share.
Until next week, when you see us online, share it with all your friends, and we'll see you next week on the Complete Game Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the Complete Game Podcast, the show that's all about baseball. New episodes drop each week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving us a 5-star rating, or better yet, drop us a comment or a question and let us know what you think. The Complete Game Podcast is produced and distributed by 2 Creative Digital Marketing. Check us out at 2creativedigital.com. On behalf of Ethan, Coach Rick, and the Silver Slugger George Foster, I'm Greg Duncan saying have a great week, and we'll see you real soon.